Greetings and salutations, YouTube family and friends. T-Rav Vlogs here. What's up, guys? As you saw from the previous travel video, we are now in merry old England. That's right, we've made it to London. It was a long, arduous trip, and lo and behold, we brought over the American weather with us. It is hot as heck out here right now, so yay for hot and sweaty, but it's gonna be okay because that's
springtime of the South.
Exactly. Bob's come from the South, so he knows what that's all about. So let's take a look where we'll be staying this week, huh? So as we enter, we have a nice little dining area. There's a Bob and Brandy. You saw those people on the plane, and as I mentioned, there's Lou. He comes standard with all these houses. Apparently every houseman. He'll be here all week, so try the veal. There's all kinds of little like eclectic things in here, which is really neat. I just kind of did a scan of it earlier. We got all these little trinkets and thingamabobs and what's-a-majigs and doohickeys and thingamabobbers, and we got, I didn't notice that zebra before. That's pretty cool. And then we got this guy over here in the corner going to Mardi Gras. Look at all those beads he's got on over here. So we got our nice little living space here, plenty of room to sprawl out, got a television going on over there, and we even have an upstairs. So let's take a walk upstairs, shall we? Up here we'll have, there's a bathroom downstairs as soon as you walk in, well, a half water closet, but basically just a throne. So over here we've got the full bathroom, shower, commode, and sink. There's a mirror piece. We got, this is the room where Brandy's gonna be. This is my room. They've somehow given me the biggest bed. I don't know why, but I appreciate it. Love you guys. And then we have Lou's room over there. So this is where I will be sleeping in the evening times. Got the windows open to get a breeze going in here, so that's gonna be nice. I will definitely be sleeping well after my flight on the plane. The seats weren't bad. It just wasn't nice getting rocked to sleep at 30,000 feet with turbulence. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much where we're gonna be staying this week. We got a little backyard access out here to a little garden area. A little garden patio out here. It's getting hot as heck, so I'm gonna come back in here where there's at least somewhat of a breeze blowing. So there we have it. This is where we're gonna be staying, but stay tuned because we do have some adventures coming up tonight. We're gonna go be eating at a place called Happy Days, where I'm hopefully gonna get some authentic fish and chips, and then we're gonna go on a Jack the Ripper tour. So that ought to be very interesting. So stay tuned, guys. England Day 1 begins. We interrupt this London video to bring you a surprise food review. Well, candy review, more likely. But first, story time with friends. Some time ago, I lost a good friend dear to me, another fellow Englishman by the name of Mikey. In talking with him on Skype one day, he was snacking on something. And when I inquired about what he was eating, he said in a very cheery tone, "Wine gums." And I said, "What the heck is a wine gum?" He said, "You've never had wine gums before." I said, "No, what are they?" "Well, they're fruit snacks, basically." "Don't you have those over there?" I said, "Yes, but they're not wine gums." So, another good Englishman friend of mine, Lou, procured me some wine gums. So, Mikey, buddy, this is for you.
That's a good flavor.
I'm gonna try my first wine gum. All right, so this one's for you, Mikey. Miss you, buddy. Ooh, yeah. Okay, yeah. They're very much like American fruit snacks, but they don't taste as artificial, if that's a thing. But yeah, they do taste more natural. I don't quite feel as much of a fatty McFat as I normally would eating them from a regular grocery store. So wine gums, who'd have thunk? I'm a huge fan. Mikey, I'm glad you told me about these. Unfortunately, I didn't get to try them too much later, so I hope you're smiling down on me and you get to see that I get to finally have some, thanks to one of your fellow Englishmen here making sure that I get some. So Mikey, miss you, bud. Wine gums are awesome. Okay, enough of a downer. Let's get back to some more fun. All right, so first night in London, we have to get some traditional fish and chips. So we are here at Happy Days. where you can get pretty much any type of fish and chip combo. Or if you don't like the fish variety, you can get chicken, rotisserie, grilled or otherwise. All kinds of fun stuff. I opted to go with the special today. Get the regular cod, chips, mushy peas, and buttered roll. A little bit of everything, and of course, when in Rome, hot tea. So, let's see how this goes. I'm very anxious to try this. I've been hearing some good things, and it smells amazing in here, so I cannot wait to give this a try. Oh, sweet Lord, that is what I have before me, but I also have this guy here, and I have just been given strict instructions on what to do with this guy here. You put a little of that, and a little of that, and some of that, not the hand sanitizer, the vinegar, into that, and you make what's called a chip butty. And that is like this, just basically a big fish sandwich. So we're going to have ourselves a big fish sandwich. But first, I got to taste everything individually before I go and just do it together. Is that sacrilege? I hope it's not sacrilege. We got to try it all first. So let me try some of the fish. Now this is just a regular cod here. So let's see what it has. Yep, that's a third-degree burn on the tongue. But it's so worth it. Gosh, that's good. Oh my gosh, it's crispy, it's flavorful, it's not overly fishy. There's some chips here. These are classic steak fries. I know plenty of people at home who would love these so much. And of course we have the traditional mushy peas. Oh my God, look at the steam. I might die after I eat this. Hang on. That's not half bad. I like peas, but I'm used to them a little different. This is a different flavor profile, but it's not bad. Okay. I'll certainly eat that. That's good. All right. I'm going to slowly construct this monstrosity of a sandwich, and then I guess we're going in, and I'll see you in just a second. Oh, it's already open. Look at that. Oh, look at that butter. Oh my God, I just had a coronary looking at this thing. Where's the nearest hospital? I gotta go. Alright, so we're doing. There's the cod. We do, she said vinegar first. So vinegar first. A little bit dip dip. And I do love some vinegar. Okay. There's that. A little bit, and a little bit of salt, she said. Don't want to get high blood pressure, so just a little bit of salt. Even though she said a lot of salt, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dora, I don't want to disappoint you. We're even going to get a little mushy pea in there because why not? Follow the contour of the fish here with the chips. Is she for real? Is this what y'all do with this stuff over here? Yeah. Okay. All right. Not that I don't believe you or anything, but it's all good. All right.
No, I think there's one more chips on there, but that's okay.
I'm a noob. Sorry.
I haven't seen someone put a fish in there though. That's new.
That's new? I'm gonna just gonna do the whole daggone thing.
That's your way of doing it.
My gosh, that is good. That's one heck of a fish sandwich. I'm gonna let that cool down a little bit because I don't want to die of any more third-degree burns. So that's just gonna sit right there, and I'm going to enjoy that when it cools down. But yes, authentic fish and chips, first night in London. Let's go. Stay tuned for the Jack the Ripper tour. That's coming up next. We'll see you there.
My name is John. Your guide, obviously.
Hi, John.
Hi, everyone. I won't remember all your names. And welcome to the Zoo. Welcome to the East End of London. Can I just have a quick hands up? How many of you are here in the East End of London for the first time ever? Quite a few of you. Here we go. How many of you here had never heard of the East End of London before you got here? Not many, because the East End of London is quite a famous part of town, right? Not always for good reasons. Its history is fascinating, okay? It's an interesting part of town. Today, most people will think of the East End of London and they'll think fun, right? You come here to have a good time. Places like Shoreditch, Brick Lane with the Indian restaurants, etc. It's known for hipster culture, street art, gentrification. That has only really been an image of the East End of London for about the last 30 years, probably no more than that. All right? And before that, and even within my experience of it, there was a time when the East End of London was not the kind of place you'd come to have a good time. Right? It wasn't a particularly nice place at all. To say it's had more downs than ups is putting it mildly. Right? The lowest the East End ever sank is, conveniently, part of our story, the late 19th century. All right, so everything I'm going to tell you this evening happened in the year 1888, right? Unless I say otherwise, but everything is 1888. When most people consider the East End of London to be perhaps one of the most notorious, overcrowded, dangerous slums in London. And this is really odd, because you've got to bear in mind it's 1888, it's the time of Queen Victoria, the British Empire covering about a third of the globe. The City of London, which is right next to us here, that's Old Square Mile, which is the financial heart of London as it's always been. Back then, because it was the centre of empire, it was the wealthiest and most influential, powerful square mile on this planet back then. So in the 1880s, we didn't have all the benefits and the help and the institutions for the homeless as we do today. So yeah, I mean, if you literally were out there on your own, or your family, and you were homeless, nowhere to go, you would be sleeping in dangerous alleyways or in parks in all weathers. It was all very dangerous and very unfortunate. There were things like workhouses that you could go into where you would be made to do mind-numbing, back-breaking work for the privilege of your food and shelter. A lot of those places were made deliberately unpleasant just to put people off who just didn't fancy going to work, things like that. However, for a little price, a little bit of money, if you had it, you, or even you and your family, could get a bed overnight in something called a common lodging house. Something which, thank God, doesn't exist anymore. There were lots of them around back in those days. A common lodging house was also known as a DOS house. And anyone from the United States? I think we have a few. Mm-hmm. Flop house, they were known as in the States. Okay, a building, house, whatever it was, owned by a greedy landlord. And apart from a communal kitchen, every room had as many beds as they could cram in. Right, and at the door, you would pay a deputy 4p. I think that's roughly about £5 today, for a single bed. All right, okay, in a communal room. Appearance. As you could hear, he had a very thick, guttural foreign accent, wearing like a peak cap, if you wish. Nice clothes, but they were looking a little bit grubby, so she described him as shabby genteel. And Mrs. Long heard a little snatch of conversation. She heard the man say to Annie, "Will you?" And then Annie went, "Yes." Your guess is as good as mine, but what's important, that actually was Annie Chapman. That must have been the man who murdered her. John Davis, the president of the top floor of that house, went out into the backyard to use the outdoor lavatory 20 minutes later, and there, right outside the back door, on her back foot of those steps, pretty much where my finger is, was the horrendously murdered body of Annie Chapman. Now, into the media, and we've got technology for the first time, the telegraph, the wire that goes under the oceans, so suddenly, after that, people around the world can hear about this. Okay? Out of all those news agencies, into that, some of them are still going. Reuters, all right, is still around. The Associated Press. Reuters had a main competitor in London. It was called the Central News Agency, right? And they are actually central to this next bit of the story, very important. On the 27th of September, okay, so 19 days after Annie Chapman's murder, the Central News Agency received a letter in the post addressed to the boss, Central News, London City, right? And here is that letter, okay? Now, it's not the real one. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Can you imagine if we had the real one? The real one does survive. It was missing for many years, but it now sits in the National Archives in London. It's very frail, but it's still around. Written in Reading for dramatic effect, I guess, but importantly, claiming to be written by the murderer himself. Right? This is arguably one of the most notorious letters ever written. Mostly tall warehouses around all sides, two narrow alleyways, one over there, all right? And the house that you see in the background here, those people sitting over there, with their drinky poos, they're pretty much sitting in those houses. Okay, that was the darkest corner of Mitre Square, just in front of that house. Right? And it's not been a corner for generations, but it's still known by a lot of people today as Ripper's Corner. That's what they call it. And it's where we would be standing for that lot. But that's unfortunately what happens at the weekend.
How rude.
So yeah, that would have been that's where the body of Catherine Eddowes was found, right over there. And we've already sort of talked a bit about the murder, but how about this for getting away with it? 4 people in that house. Bedrooms looked over the murder site. There was a house between the warehouse is just over there. A family of 4, off-duty police officer, by the way, in there. They didn't hear anything either. At the other end of the narrow alleyway out there was 2 men standing around sharing a cigarette and a conversation. There was a warehouse, night watchman in the warehouse just here. The door of that warehouse was open, right, as he made a cup of tea. And none of those people saw or heard anything. Any one of them could have opened a window, looked out the door, and caught the Ripper in the act. What's most amazingly though, we believe that the murder took place between 1:35 and 1:45 a.m. Right bang in the middle of that time slot, a policeman walked down this alleyway, which in those days was only about this wide, stopped at the entrance, which I think roughly would have been where you are, sir, there, and satisfied himself that there was nothing to report, turned round and went back the way he came. And at that time, the Ripper was probably in that corner, holding his breath.
And that's going to conclude the evening of the Jack the Ripper tour. That was very informative. I had no idea just how much history still exists in London today. There are buildings and pubs and whatnot that were around when Jack the Ripper was doing his thing in the Victorian era, even beforehand. There's so much history in this city and we've only seen a very small part of it. So the history buff in me is kind of screaming like a child in a candy store. And this is only day 1. There's still so much more of London to see, so much more history to take in. And you guys are going to get to come along with me. So for now, that's going to end this part of the video, this part of the adventure. So that's really all I have to say about that. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon and take care. Bye-bye and good night.